Hi guys, for this meal you are going to need some red peppers, a white onion or any color onion really, but I usually use the white ones, Worcestershire sauce, oregano, garlic powder, and some green olives. This is a Publix brand. Works fine. You're also going to need some chicken, some ground chicken, or you can use a whole chicken if you don't mind shredding it. I use ground chicken because it's just easier to use. And this is just going to teach you how to make the meat portion of it. So I'll be back in just a moment to show you how it looks. Okay, so I went ahead and I cut up my onions and my red peppers, and I actually have about half an onion and half a red pepper in there because I'm going to use 2 packages of chicken. If you're only using 1 package of chicken, then a little less is fine. You don't need that many onions. It's really just to help it get sweet. And now these are my olives, and I'm gonna use about half the container. I'm just gonna pour it in there. And you want to be careful with that water that the olives come in because it's incredibly salty. So I had already dumped some of it. I left a little bit in it just so that I don't have to add salt to my actual chicken. So I'm gonna leave that in a separate pot, or you can put it in a pan. You can put your heat a little after low, a little stronger than low, but not as strong as medium. And I'm just gonna let it sit there, and what it does is it starts to get really sweet. The onions start to caramelize, and the red peppers start to release some of its little juices too. Okay, so now we're ready to add the meat to the pan, and I'm going to add just a little bit of vegetable oil. And if you have non-stick pans, you actually don't have to add any oil at all. But I am due for new pans. I'm due for new pans and for a new food processor. If you have a food processor, it's much better to use for your veggies so that they're super fine. But if you don't mind veggies, then it doesn't really matter. My family hates them, but I put them in everything in it. Okay, so I pretty much put what I call a layer of oil, just enough to cover the entire pan, and it actually has a little more than I would like. It's a little too much oil. I like it just so that it coats it, kind of like those cooking sprays. So you're gonna get your meat, and I'm gonna go ahead and dump it. I'm using my phone until I get a new camera. But so I'm gonna pause it for 1 moment. Okay, so I'm using 2 packages of the ground chicken, and a cool trick is if you want to buy one of those already made rotisserie chickens, then all you have to do is add the seasoning that I have that I'm gonna show you, and put your veggies, and it's so much faster. So you're gonna get your chicken and you're gonna mash it up and make sure that it comes out so that it's nice and like beady and little chunks, like little ground, like kind of like ground beef, but ground chicken doesn't fall apart as easy, so you have to keep kind of stabbing it and moving it so that it loosens up. Okay, so once you've done that you've loosened it up a little bit more, you're going to go ahead and start adding the seasoning. And my setting is also right before medium, on number 4. So I'm gonna get my garlic powder. And you can use real garlic, but just for the sake of making sure that we're all using the same stuff, I'm going to use garlic powder. And I'm putting 1 layer of garlic powder on the whole pan. So I'm just coating the chicken, making sure that every little bit has garlic powder. Then I'm going to get some oregano, and I'm going to add my oregano. Okay, And then I'm gonna get some of my Worcestershire sauce. Add a little bit of that. And I usually don't use measurements because I never know how much you're gonna use, so it's just easier for you to see how much I'm adding than it would be for me to say a teaspoon or a tablespoon. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of ketchup. So, all right, the Worcestershire sauce was probably about a tablespoon and a half, and the ketchup I would say was about a tablespoon and a half maybe also. Just enough to, this is what's gonna change the flavor of your empanadas. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up. I'm gonna pause it so I don't shake the camera so much. Okay, so you've let your chicken simmer, and I went ahead and I raised it to medium for both just to speed things up. But you don't want to make it any higher than medium because you don't want it to burn, and you also want it to kind of soup up like this a little bit, because that's what's going to help keep it nice and moist and not get all dry. You're going to go ahead and dump your veggies into your mix, and if you can, as you can see here, your veggies are nice and now they're all soft. You're gonna mash them up even more to make sure that it gets distributed evenly. Now when you go ahead and get ready to taste this, I recommend you taste it after you put the veggies in, because the olives are really salty, and remember, I didn't add any salt. You can, but I didn't add any because of the olives are so salty already. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump my veggies. Okay, so once you've mixed everything in, this is what your chicken should look like. It should look a little bit on the reddish side. Now, when I initially started, I had put enough ketchup as if it was only one package, and when I was finished toward the end, I saw that it wasn't red enough. It needs to look a little reddish. That's how you know that it's ready. And a little bit of pepper. If you didn't add pepper, I don't think I said to earlier because I forgot. So you can add pepper, and it really does change the flavor. Taste it. It should taste a little sweet, tangy because of the ketchup, the Worcestershire sauce, and also the olives. The peppers and the onions let it taste nice and sweet along with the ketchup. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the actual making of the empanada. That was the filling, and I like to buy these already pre-made, and they're by Goya. Excuse me. If you go to Publix, if you're down here in like Florida and Georgia has Publix, I think up north you don't, but anyway, you can look it up, or you can actually look up a recipe to make the flour from scratch. I don't make it from scratch because these are available, and once you defrost them, they come out super soft and they're ready. You just have to be really careful with separating them, otherwise they can break, and you kind of have to start all over and roll it together to make it a new disc. Okay, so here is your dough. And you're going to spread it out. You can use a roller, you can use your hands for a little bit, and you're going to get some nice, that's one, and I'm gonna do two so that it's nice and chunky. And this is very hard with one hand, so I am going to attempt it again like I did with the beef ones, but it's not easy. Okay, so you're gonna bring it together and you're just gonna pinch it, and that's it. You're gonna pinch to close it. Do a nice pinch. Pinch it all the way around, and if you have any sort of like imprint, I mean, I guess you could really use anything, but if you use a fork and you go around it with the fork, it makes it look a little nicer. So you can go around it with the fork, and I'm gonna go ahead and make a few and then put them in the oven and show you guys what it looks like at the end. Also, this is the plain dough. This is the regular dough. Goya also sells the achote ones, and the flavor is slightly different. So you can really choose which one you like. If you want to go traditional, you would get the plain one. The orange ones are good. I would say try it. It kind of reminds me of like pumpkin flavor, but not spicy. Okay, so this is how you make the actual turnover or empanada, and I'm gonna show you now how to make the egg wash. So really quick, my baby became super fussy, so I'm just showing you. Once it bubbles up, you are all ready. It's done. Have a great day, guys. I hope you enjoy the recipe. I gotta go. Bye.